Hello and welcome to Dip. This is just a quick one before the proper intro happens because what had happened, this was like a 3-day filming period because I had two comedians that were locked in place for an interview. One I went over and we got too sizzled to talk, and another one is that they've been busy. So their interviews will be coming up. That's just an update on that end. Now let's kick off with the episode. Love you all. Mwah. Hello and welcome to Dip. I'm awful with numbers, but this is another episode, another edition of Dip. It's the Drago Ivan Podcast. And why is it called Drago Ivan? Because the Drago Ivan Podcast, I really stuff up on words. I'm Croatian. You have to forgive me. Why is it called the Drago Ivan Podcast? Because I'm Drago Ivan. I'm a stand-up comedian based in the western suburbs of Melbourne. You can get a little bloody waff. Not a living fucking soul. Yes, before I kick off this episode will consist of an interview with one other comedian, and I'll introduce him soon. Yes, this past Tuesday was my last shift at the gold mine. My original last date was meant to be August, so I put in my resignation. I was meant to finish up in August. Gives us time to train up a couple other more people to successfully replace the role and all the duties that I used to do. Not that any of the other guards can't, but it's always good to have a spare guard there because you usually need 4, and we had 4. And after this past week, they only had 3. Let me get into it just a little bit.
Where do I fucking start?
The contractual manager that oversaw security, which is basically you come in and you're like, hey, do you need any stationary drug tests? Basically letting us contractors, what we're hired out to do our job. During this process, he messed with the whole systems, added administrative passwords to nearly everything. And being security, usually you would be the one maintaining the actual security of the gold mine. And so I was noting down over time. It wasn't overnight. I was noting down over time just all the incompetencies. This contractual manager that oversees us in occupational health and health and safety. Wow. Well, he would have made his job occupational health and security. I'm not going to mention a name because I don't want a defamation lawsuit.
Thanks for nothing. Go yourselves.
But the reason why I'm talking about this is because I didn't sign an NDA, and just to make things very clear. So initially I put the resignation up in August, and it was that Tuesday, this past Tuesday, where I had my last shift there. I had the HR of the gold mine come in. I'm not going to mention her name. Man, I can... See, a bug wants to interrupt me, mate. I must be talking something good.
The fuck is that?
Anyway, so I started mentioning some of this, but then people come up to the turnstile and needed to be underground inducted, and guess who has to induct them? Yes, this tattooed person that looks like Stone Cold Steve Autism. Thank you, Mort, for that nickname.
Smelly prick.
So she's like, yeah, come past my office later on. So I went past her office at about 9:30, 10 in the morning, and my shift finishes at 7 p.m, just to put into perspective of how long I was there. Sat down, mentioned it, and then she requested, can you put this all in an email and send it off to me? Which I did. I do have the email. I do have the screenshots of the email. I can't attach it to this because it has other people's emails. And I do like fucking standing up for what I think is correct, but I'm not a lunatic to fucking... I know I'm self-destructive, but I'm truthful. All right? How about that?
Shut up, bitches!
Anyway, after I sent that email, it come to about 4:30 in the afternoon, and the contractual manager, he was anyway heading off for his week off holiday, so he left before this initially happened because he's the one that called up my boss after seeing the email. And even though he's not the head honcho of the mine, he's just a contractual manager, he says that we don't want Drago back. And then my boss called me at 4:30 in the afternoon, even though I finished at 7, and said, I've got some bad news, they don't want you back. And in the email, I'll put down in little job forms. I said, why aren't we testing all the on-site workers? Yeah, like we used to do, instead of just the in-house workers. And another one that was really frustrating was all these new systems that he was putting into place would have taken longer and would have stuffed up the numbers. And it was spitting out the same people every day, so randomized drug and alcohol testing wasn't in place over there. It was the same names every day. And I mentioned this, I'm like, we're wasting tests on the same people. And the one thing that pushed me towards the edge where I had to speak up as the actual contractor there to do his job, there was one incident where he covered up for one of his mates that was a manager that refused to do a drug test. And he would mention to me, yeah, no, I've passed it on to the head honchos. I talked to the head honchos. I had no clue. And the last person that refused or couldn't do the drug test ended up getting the sack. So I'm making sure I'm doing what I need to do, because if it wasn't mentioned, then I look in the shit. But then you mention stuff, you take the high ground, and guess what? You end up still getting released.
Not only was that the goddamn stupidest thing I've ever heard of.
But you know what? I'm permanently down to Melbourne. And the reason why I mentioned that, and that because I don't have an NDA, so I can mention that, but I'm not mentioning names. The reason why I'm mentioning that is because my new job, I actually can't mention. I've signed an NDA for, it was so quick. Within 2 hours of me not having a job, I had an employer call me up and say that you're going to be a part of this gig, but you're going to be signing an NDA. And I'm quite excited because I used to do the job before heading up to the gold mine, but I can't mention what it is. Anyway, I'm going to do this, and we're going to get to the point where it's an interview, or maybe you can come with me for a drive and we can celebrate that my sister's a lawyer if she hasn't already told you.
This guy's a fucking asshole. I love him.
Alright, so that's what the mention was with the interview, and obviously the interview didn't happen. But I'm getting those interviews. I will. I'll watch them outside the window, mate. Because even this whole week has just been a bit...
So forget about it, cuz.
The week of comedy has been absolutely great. I've done some fantastic gigs this past week. Thursday, well, let's start it off. Tuesday, Double Deuce Comedy. We return to Double Deuce Comedy. Fantastic. Shrub Comedy up in Northcote at 24 Moons. Fantastic. Thank you to Mort. Footsloose Comedy was packed. We had standing room only, and I was at the Footscray Hotel. Free comedy that happens every goddamn Thursday. I didn't mean to say goddamn if you're religious, but goddamn if you're not religious. Either way, then... Oh, here we go. Got my dog in the camera. Are you going to lift your head? Hey! Wesker? And he's lifted his head. You going to make an appearance? That's a dog. Then Saturday, this past Saturday, a whipped cream massacre. The first gig I ran at Club Volte. I should have probably had someone work out the sound and all that, but it was fantastic. We had half of the room filled with near minimalistic advertisement, which is always good. If it looks like I'm touching something, it's because I'm patting my dog and not touching him in a weird way.
I just came out. Did you see those ass cheeks?
I've seen.
What are you chewing? No, get that out of you. He was chewing this bit of plastic. You're not getting that, buddy. Alright. Then this upcoming week of comedy is going to be fantastic, isn't it, Wesker? Yeah? Yeah, it's my beautiful Sharpei. Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful week of comedy coming up. I want to thank you all for subscribing. 33 subscribers. I think I could just have him in frame the whole time, and this would be awesome. Wouldn't it, Wesker? Mwah.
Look at this. Look at this. It's perfect.
Would kiss you on the bare forehead, but knowing my luck, I'd get like a blackhead or something like that. Gorgeous monkey. Anyway, I didn't mean to call you monkey. It's okay. I didn't mean to call... Anyway, this upcoming comedy week's going to be awesome. Make sure to follow at Drago Ivan Comedy on TikTok, Real Drago Ivan on Instagram, Drago Ivan on Facebook. We have a confirmed venue for Nights of Comedy, so make sure to follow Nights of Comedy on Facebook and Nights of Comedy on Instagram. The shows that I run, Laughs in the Ghetto. So Laughs in the Ghetto, Instagram, Laughs in the Ghetto Remastered on Facebook. I love you all. I'll probably add some more clips onto this, and including going to see my sister. And congratulations to my sister to finally become a lawyer. Now she can represent me if my dog ever wants to attack someone, huh? Isn't that right, Wesker? Anyway, love you all. Kiss, kiss. Goodbye. And there will be more episodes coming out. Are you going to say goodbye, Wesker? Huh? Yeah. Mwah. Are you going to dip or are we going to dip?
That should have been me.
I'm here.
Oh my god, my hair's like that.
with my sister, who's officially a lawyer. And can you show them your breakfast?
That's not my breakfast.
Bullshit.
It's 12:16. It's lunch.
It's brunch. Look at that. Celebrating that she's a lawyer. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And if you want a blur on the face, we'll get that done.
Oh, that's your coffee.
Yeah, it is my coffee. See, I drink appropriately at an appropriate time.
The whiteness.
I think the scariest part about living in the West, in St Albans in particular, as a 27-year-old Croatian, don't stress, I don't have a flare. Not yet. I actually started renting. Usually you're held down to the age 45, have 2 kids, and your mum's like, now you can go. But fuck her. I broke the mold. I only started renting this place because a former family member, they used to rent the place. But they sadly passed away due to a drug overdose. St Albans. Yeah? But does anyone believe in like the paranormal, ghosts, spirits and all that? Yeah, hey. I was a massive fucking skeptic, but now I believe, yeah? I believe that their ghost is haunting me, but it's all good because it's a meth-related spirit. Exactly. So occasionally you might hear, do you have $10? Dude, I drove a fucking stolen car to get here. I need that $10. There was one night, I wasn't hearing no reaction, nothing being said, not one fucking knock. And then the copper wiring from under the house started getting ripped out. That's family. I did recently, like I had to resign from my job up in the country. I worked at a gold mine as a drug and alcohol tester. What the fuck? Who hires someone from St Albans if they go positive? I've just got a customer. Well, I didn't resign, I got sacked. But I had a culture shock and a half, yeah? Being a single man, I started dating up in there. And it's like crazy. The girls are more blokes than what I am. Dude, the girl picked me up in a Holden ute. She had a mullet, but she was fucking stunning. Yeah? I'm there getting frisky with her, and her roommate's close. I'm like, where do you want to take this? She's like, straight to my Holden tray ute. I'm like, what the fuck? I felt like a bitch, man. I stood up, I'm like, do you like choking? She's like, yes. And then she choked me.